Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. Today is Monday, December 5th. I'm your host, John June. And of course, this guy to my left would be Greg Penniman, a.k.a. G Money. Greg, how you doing today, bro?
Feeling good. Another great week of football games. Probably saw the most thrilling 10-9 game I've ever seen in my life. That Baltimore game, crazy. The Giants game got a tie. We got this tie there, Giants in Washington. The Jets Vikings game was amazing. It was crazy. Another classic Chiefs game. With the comeback season.
Classic Chiefs Bengals game.
Yeah, classic Chiefs Bengals game. Yeah, for sure.
Let's call that
sure.
one.
Yeah. We definitely would like to see another playoff matchup between them. So, yeah, it was a crazy weekend.
I think there's a stat out there. That I was on Twitter. Ari Merov. Sorry if I'm saying your last name wrong, but he had said that he tweeted out that in the year 2022, which includes some games from last year and the postseason, the Chiefs are 12-2 against the rest of the league, and they are 0-3 against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Patty has one weakness right now, and that's Joe Burrow, man. It's crazy.
I mean, I get it, Joe Burrow, quarterback league, but we got to give some credit to this D coordinator.
Yeah.
Lou Aronimo, the D coordinator for the Bengals. That drop 8 coverage that they like to do, where they drop 8 and rush 3, and then they'll spy them with the defensive ends. That was something they did a lot last year. And this year they continued to disrupt Patrick Mahomes, force him into, a lot of those drives, there was like some fumbles by like Travis Kelce had a fumble. Jerick McKinnon, I believe, had a fumble in that game as well. So some of those drives, those are drive enders right there. Travis Kelce fumbles the ball.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. But still, to hold Mahomes to 16 of 27, 223 passing yards, just one passing touchdown, to disrupt him and frustrate him like they did, speaks volumes, I think.
Yeah, man. The AFC playoffs are going to be insane.
Definitely going to be insane, those AFC playoffs. Just hoping that I don't have to watch without a rooting interest. Let's move on to, obviously, this is week 13 recap, where we recap everything that went down in week 13, all the fantasy performances, and then also shout out some waivers, as we have to discuss some of the injuries that transpired. But obviously, if you are here, you're watching the show, then hopefully you like what you are listening to and you're seeing on YouTube, Apple Podcast, or seeing on YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter via Periscope, or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, all those podcast platforms. Just ask that you comment, like, subscribe, all that fancy cool stuff that helps out the show but requires not much work by you. So let's jump into the quarterback swags, Greg. And the number one quarterback on the week, I've been singing this man's praises, giving him his flowers all year. Truly believe he is like a fantasy MVP at this point, but that's Jalen Hurts. 29 of 39, 380 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 5 rush attempts for 12 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown here, 34.4 fantasy points in your standard quarterback scoring. Greg, what did you make of this performance here by Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, man, Jalen Hurts, the fantasy MVP, most likely going to be the real MVP. I think he's definitely been doing what he has to do all year for this team with his legs, with passing. We knew that it really showed that he really improved in his passing this year. This is only his second full year starting, so definitely love to see it, the improvement there. And he did it. He did it with the passing this time, and he got the rushing touchdown, but still 380, 3 touchdowns. They just jump on team, they pounce on them. Yeah, man, this is another good year. Hopefully, the last Philly quarterback to have a really good year, and then they went like 14-1. Carson Wentz, he didn't get his MVP, but I think Jalen Hurts will.
Oh man, you just brought me back to a time of football where like Carson Wentz was in the MVP discussion.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy.
Yep.
Um, I think I also came on here that next year in our first episode of the Fantasy Football Diagnostics podcast and talked about him as a top three quarterback in fantasy. How far we've come,
Sorry.
all of
How
us.
far we've come, for sure. For sure.
uh, Jalen Hurts, though, was not most recently, last year, however, my quarterback breakout, and
Hmm.
was somebody that we were both very high on, not just last year, not just this year, but his rookie season when he
Yeah.
had just came onto the season or came onto the scene that season, replacing an ineffective aforementioned Carson Wentz. And I think you're right, man. I think he is deserving of the MVP. Like I said, we talk about, or I've been talking about the consistency level of Jalen Hurts and what he's been doing. You mentioned, the 380 passing yards and the limited rushing yards here, just 12 rushing yards. But he's done that a few times this year where he's doesn't have like this big rushing game, but it's also because he's throwing for 330, 350 yards. And I think that's, like you said, that speaks to the development of him as a passer, what Nick
Yeah.
Sirianni has asked him to do. I mean, he's completing 68% of his passes this season, compared to just 61 and 52% the prior 2 years. So he's tremendous, growth there. 20 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions through 12 games. I mean, there's if you just looked at what he's doing as the quarterback, you'd be like, okay, well, this guy's having a pretty good season, 11-1, completing 68% of his passes, 5.6% touchdown rate, less than a 1% interception rate. Like, they're playing good football, 8 yards per attempt. But then you look at what he's doing, like as a runner, 609 rushing yards and then nine rushing touchdowns. Yeah, I know that's long-winded way to give Jalen Hurts his flowers, but if you have Jalen Hurts, you have to. There's like a less than 5% chance, and I'm being hyperbolic, that you are not in the playoffs right now.
Yeah. No, he's carrying teams right now. Like, yeah, he's a every week he gives you a chance to win.
Most definitely. Um, let's move on to the quarterback two on the week, and he was part of that game that we previously talked about with the Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs, and that would be Joe Burrow. 25 of 31, 286 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 11 carries for 46 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown, 30.04. Let's just call it 30 fantasy points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Joey B?
Yeah, man. Joey B came through. He really loves playing against the Chiefs. Uh, Excellent high completion percentage on the day as well. Yeah, continue to have a sneaky, really great year for Joe Burrow after the rough start, especially. He threw like almost 4 or 5 interceptions in that first game, but yeah, he bounced back, got all his weapons back now too. So down the stretch, Joe Burrow should start to dominate.
Yeah, definitely Joe Burrow. Continuing to prove why he's one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL just through his third season. So, uh, definitely not expecting the 46 rushing yards and the rushing touchdown. I mean, I would like 46 is a lot for Joey B. I
Yeah.
mean, we know Joey can do that, but there were some design quarterback runs in there, which I thought was impressive. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's getting Jamar Chase back, and we saw the impact he had in his first game back, being healthy.
Hmm.
So I think that Joey B is going to be right in time to get you for that playoff push.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the QB3 on the week. Somebody that you were banging the table for all season long, from week one on, and he's finally getting his respect. Geno Smith, 28 of 39, 367 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception there. Added 2 rush attempts for 3 rushing yards, 23 fantasy points, getting his Michael Jordan on. Greg, what do you think of this
Woo.
performance here by Geno Smith?
Yeah, man, torching this Rams secondary, which has been pretty weak all year, man. It's crazy. So, Love to see Geno Smith, take advantage of his matchup, do what he's got to do, and continue. Definitely continue the like his second career almost. It feels like he is started. So, love to see it for Geno.
Yeah, man. Greg. I was probably one of the few people that believed Geno Smith would ever be good at football.
After the first couple of seasons, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, I've told you the story, Greg. I will never forget this moment, and I'll share it with listeners now. Uh, I had the Geno Smith jersey, and I had bought it at the beginning of the year. I was really confident that he'd have his breakout season. The Jets kind of sucked. He came out against Minnesota, conveniently enough, threw a interception on I think it was the first pass attempt of the game. It was a pick six,
Oh
and I
yeah, I
immediately
do
went
remember that.
into my closet and I grabbed the Geno Smith jersey and I tore it in half. And I was really upset. I was like, Geno, I believed in you. And then he went on to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns that game. And I think he did the same thing the week the week after. So then I started to believe maybe I should just not have the jerseys anymore. So I don't know. Anyway, Geno Smith absolutely balling. The 367 was by necessity. This is a game that was back and forth. The Rams actually were in this one, had a lead in the fourth quarter with I think minutes to go. And Geno Smith lost not just his starting running back, and then lost the backup. And then the third string running back got hurt. So DJ Dallas, and I'm saying Kenneth Walker the third, he got hurt with an ankle injury. DJ Dallas, he also suffered an ankle injury. And so then Tony Jones, he had an injury at one point, and DJ Dallas, who was listed as doubtful, they end up putting him back in the game
Oh man,
because
they have no one there.
right, you got no one else. Like, take a defensive back and be like, all right, here we're gonna have to practice taking some handoffs or something, like,
Oh,
or I don't know,
they could.
ask Geno Smith to throw it 39 times,
Yeah, I feel like I don't know Marquise Goodwin back there. He's pretty fast, like.
right? run, run, toss all game,
Yeah.
like. I don't know, man. I feel like they could have figured something out. But anyway, Geno Smith absolutely balled in this one. Going to continue to do that as the season progresses, I think. Let's talk about the rest of these quarterback swags, though. Rounding out this top 12, my quarterback stream of the week, didn't realize he finished this high.
Oh yeah.
Jared Goff.
Woo.
Yeah, absolutely balled there. I don't know if that was planned. I couldn't hear it. And then Patrick Mahomes coming in as the quarterback 5. It's surprising that he even finishes this high. The rushing touchdown will definitely do that.
Yeah.
Justin Fields comes in at 6. Justin Herbert 7. Taylor Heineke 8. Mike White, Greg's quarterback stream of the week. Daniel Jones comes in at 10, and Josh Allen coming in at 11, and then Dak Prescott coming in as the quarterback 12. Oh, sorry, and Justin Herbert was.
Yeah, I was going to bring up. I'm scared.
B7.
I'm more proud of Mike White. It's all right. We could applaud for Mike White.
Greg, what are these? Of these top 12 performances, which of these stood out to you?
Yeah, Taylor Heineke definitely popping up in here. That's probably like the one name I'm a little surprised for, but yeah, he did what he had to do, get that tie. Fields coming back from injury, doing what he got to do. Yeah, Herbert and Mike White for sure getting it done. Yeah, those guys.
Herbert and Mike White in the same sentence. It's crazy. That speaks volumes of like what Justin Herbert has done these last couple of weeks to turn the season around.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, word, yo.
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't realize Jared Goff had played that well. I know he had a good game.
They were going.
Yeah,
Amon-Ra St. Brown had a big game, so
yeah. Yeah, Heineke, that was surprising, but OT will get that done for you a lot of times.
True.
And then Trevor Lawrence, who was my quarterback start of the week, he didn't come out too hot this week.
He got hurt too and came back actually.
This is true. He did.
Yeah.
I really needed that those passing props though. Um, in terms of honorable mentions, not really anybody that I mean. Shout out Derek Carr. It's a
Yeah,
respectable performance if you if you were desperate. Tyler Huntley in came in and not a lot of action against a pretty good
yeah, bro.
Denver defense. Had he put up like a pretty good day for
Yeah,
somebody that again didn't start the game.
and
Um
Brock Purdy too
yeah, and
for my
Brock Purdy.
quarterback that didn't start the game. Yeah,
Exactly, yeah. You know, interesting to see how this plays out. I mean, Tyler or Lamar Jackson, he left his game with the knee injury, so that was, definitely tough if you started him. So obviously he'll end up as a Jag, but we'll forgive him for that. Trevor Lawrence, I am going to throw him down as a Jag because he was my start of the week. I did call for the QB1 on the week, finishes a QB 13, so I'm not going to really shy away from that one. And then like we said, there were some other injuries. Jimmy G, he suffered an injury, so if you started them, he definitely didn't help you out. Um, Tua, his wasn't really injury. He suffered an injury later, but he that's a tough San Fran defense. I thought that you know
one had to give, something had to give, and
something had to give here,
yeah.
and San Fran was like, no, we don't break, we don't bend, and we don't break. Um, and then Kirk Cousins, I don't know how much people were really going there with him against the Jets
Yeah,
defense. And then Deshaun Watson, who in his first game back, 700 days, goes up against Houston and doesn't play well. And I think some people will probably call it karma or something of that effect. But I feel like he is going to be rooted against in every stadium that he goes into.
absolutely,
Well,
absolutely.
1,000%, like will be rooted against in every stadium. So,
Mhm.
yeah, something I think to watch. And he didn't really look all that good against the Houston
No,
defense
I think there was only one offensive touchdown scored in that game, and it was like,
by Houston.
yeah, by Houston. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
if you got Cleveland defense,
Oh man, woo.
I'll take that one.
Yeah, we're facts.
um, because they were my stream of the week. And anybody that wasn't listening, some context there why I'm clapping. But anyways, Greg, let's move on to the running back position, these running back swags. And this is what you like to see.
Hmm.
Christian McCaffrey, the number one running back on the week, 17 rush attempts, 66 rushing yards, 8 catches on 10 targets, 80 receiving yards, and a touchdown, 28.6 PPR points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by CMC?
Yeah, man, love to see his name here, especially like those guys that when Christian McCaffrey used to be RB1 every week. Christian McCaffrey's still here, man, and those other running backs aren't, and it's good to see him here and getting those 10 targets. You love to see that in a great game, competitive game. Hopefully, he's definitely getting healthier. So, yeah, he's gonna close for the people out there. Oh, you mute.
Oh, yeah, just rookie mistake here. I'm muted. Greg was actually trying to throw me a solid and like signal it to me, so I appreciate it, Greg. But yeah, Christian McCaffrey just going to continue to ball, continue to bring back value for those that drafted him early and had faith, man. Let's move on to the running back 2 on the week, Tony Pollard. 12 carries, 91 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 catches on 3 targets, 15 receiving yards, 24.6 PPR points on the day. Um, yeah, man, I guess it's safe to say you can start both Dallas Cowboys running backs, but I guess it's also safe to say that it doesn't. I don't think there's really one that we want more than the other. I don't know. Is it Tony Pollard?
Nah,
Like
it's Tony Pollard.
it's
It's
Tony Pollard, right?
it's Tony Pollard. Yeah, Tony Pollard is the upside. You want that upside. I mean,
Because he's
the
games
man.
proof.
Yeah, he's games improve. I mean, overall in the year, the last 3 weeks, like 4 of the last 5 weeks, he's been high in RB1 as far as output. Like so, he has been like doing spectacular performances. And you got him for like half the value you got Zeke for. So yeah, man, Tony Pollard's been great.
And for the first time in Zeke's career, he did not start the game, which apparently the Dallas Cowboys said was discipline related.
Weird.
Um, Definitely weird, but yeah, Tony Pollard, man, he seems to be that guy, right?
Yeah, he's
So
that guy. Yeah,
let's move on to. They got an interesting decision to make for sure. Like
yeah,
they
man.
have an interest. It's like you're paying Zeke all this money, and Tony Pollard's about to be a free agent, and he's about to walk out the door and probably demand like, I mean, running backs don't get paid, but you can't tell me look at what he's doing and what he provides to this Dallas offense, and no team is going to say, hey, running back, he's been a backup most of his career, probably doesn't have a lot of probably doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on his tires. Like, let's get this guy, pay him decently, and use him up pretty much.
Hmm. Yeah.
And did you hear what Zeke said? His comments
Nah.
after the game? Quote from John Machota on Twitter. He says, I truly believe our team is better off when Tony Pollard is getting his touches. He's so explosive. Last year, I had to really come around to it, and it definitely was a little hard at first. But at the end of the day, that's what's important for the team, or what's important is the team.
That's awesome. That's transparent. That's honest. Yeah. I mean, it is tough. Like, you're a guy making millions of dollars, and I would think no one's better than me. Like, he's one of the best running backs from Ohio State, and early in the year, yeah, that's it's a tough adjustment.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Um, let's move on to the RB3 on the week, man, and that'd be Samaje Perine, 21 carries, 106 rushing yards, no rushing touchdown, 6 catches, 7 targets, 49 receiving yards, and no touchdown. But that volume, though,
Woo.
get you an RB1 finish, 21 and a half PPR points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Samaje Perine?
Yeah, man, he's a living example of the reason why if you're a Joe Mixon manager, you get Samaje Perine. If you're a Dalvin Cook manager, you get Alexander Madison. Like, if you're the Miles Sanders manager, you get Kenneth Gainwell. Like, this is why you have him sitting there.
You play in Superflex and you have Lamar Jackson, you
You
have
get
Tyler
Tyler,
Huntley.
you get Tyler Huntley. Like, yeah, yo, like now instead of if you were the Joe Mixon manager, had to spend all your fab to get him, you would have had him there already. And now he's doing what Joe Mixon is doing and like putting up better output numbers. Like, so, the volume's there, the usage is there, RB1 performances is great.
Yeah, man. In Scott Fishbowl, I drafted Joe Mixon very early in the draft, and near the end of the draft, I didn't really have I didn't have a lot of running back depth, and I was like, all right, well, let me pick up Samaje Perine. He's here, he's available, and I held on to him for the whole season, Greg. And so like we get to like playoffs, and Scott Fishbowl started 2 weeks ago, and so the week before the playoffs, I was like, I need a roster spot, so I dropped Samaje Perine. And then Joe Mixon suffers a concussion, and I was like, "No way, right?
That's crazy.
No
That's
way."
crazy, yo.
So then I put a max bid out for Samaje Perine, had to do it,
Had to
and
do it.
I got the bid. I won the bid. So right
It's,
now,
it's still worth it, I think. Still
yeah,
worth it.
I've advanced through one round of the playoffs. I'm hopefully gonna advance through 2 rounds, and it's all because I had that voice in the back of my head, right? Like you got to get Greg telling me like if you have Joe Mixon, you have to have Samaje Perine. But I will also say, right, and I've said this before, because if you don't have Joe Mixon, you
Right.
should, and you're looking on, you're like, hey, I got this extra roster spot. Go pick up a Samaje Perine if he's out there,
Yeah.
because that makes your team stronger if Samaje Perine does end up becoming, a workhorse back and getting these opportunities like he's getting right now. So definitely things to consider. But let's move through these running back swags. The RB4 on the week, we both get this one,
He's
bro.
back, baby. Yes.
Back.
He's back.
DeAndre Swift, Josh Jacobs comes in at 5, AJ Dillon 6, Saquon Barkley 7, Cam Akers parentheses, Kyron Williams 8, Zeke Elliott 9, Zonovan Bam Knight, my running backs are 10, David Montgomery 11, James Cook 12. Greg, what do you think of these top 12 performances from the running back swags?
Yeah, you love it. You love to see DeAndre Swift in here. Saquon bouncing back, getting you back in that RB1 week, and Bam Knight living up to that
All that
that
fab.
hype. Yeah, all that fab, really living up to all that fab. Yeah, and yeah, David Montgomery continue to attack that Green Bay rush defense, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to continue to attack that Green Bay rush defense. Dave Montgomery just again balled in that instance. James Cook, obviously he played on Thursday. We talked about him.
Yep.
He's somebody I'm sure we're going to be talking about a little bit later. The Saquon Barkley one, I think that one was important for like managers to
Yeah.
see right before
Yeah.
going into the playoffs.
For sure.
Definitely important. And then DeAndre Swift, man, we've been talking about him. Every week I was saying this is the week, and it finally came. He played 51% of the snaps, so his snaps were actually higher than Jamal Williams. And yeah, I think we were both in agreement, play him over Jamal Williams, and that came to fruition this week. So, and then one last thing on Bam Knight. Somebody asked me today if I thought that Bam Knight would continue to get the work because he had 20 touches in this game. Bam Knight did, for over 100 scrimmage yards. So they asked me when Michael Carter comes back, what's the split going to be like? And I think Michael Carter will still be involved, but even before Michael Carter left the Chicago game with an injury, Bam Knight was still getting work and he was still getting rotated into the offense. And I think with the back-to-back games that he's had, 100 yards from scrimmage in both games, I think he's earned a role in this offense. He brings a different element than Michael Carter brings, right? Michael Carter is a little shiftier runner, probably a little bit better in the pass game. With Zonovan Knight, he's a bigger back who's got some explosiveness to him. That's what this offense is really missing with the absence of Breece Hall. Like obviously no one has like the no one's Breece Lightning, right? Like no one has that speed that he has, but just the physicality because Breece was a 220-pound running back, and Zonovan Knight brings some of that size and that physicality with his running style to him, more of a downhill runner. But he's also 5 catches yesterday. So 5 catches on 5 targets. So he's utilized. He's shown well in the pass game through 2 games. So I think you can continue to roll him out there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it just makes sense for the Jets as a football team to make them better. You want multiple running backs. Most of the teams are doing it these days anyway. So yeah, I think that's the best option for them.
Going to be interesting next year when they get Zonovan Knight, Michael Carter, and a healthy Breece Hall in the same backfield to go with these receivers.
Crazy.
And Mike White.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these honorable mentions. Isaiah Pacheco, man, had another day. I think, were you saying to play him yesterday? I feel like this is deja vu. Like we go through this with Pacheco.
Yeah, I was
You're
like
always team Pacheco.
Yeah, yeah. McKinnon also played well though too.
McKinnon
Yeah,
did play well.
yeah.
McKinnon did not have a fumble. I must have confused him with somebody else. But yeah, both those guys played well. Finishes the RB 14 and 15 in PPR leagues. Brian Robinson also had a good day in the top, I think the top 18 or top 20. Damian Pierce also had a good day as well. So that was definitely good showing by those two guys, especially Damian Pierce at this time of the year. Anything else you want to add into those with those guys, Greg?
No, I think that's about it. Yeah.
All right, we got to talk about some running back Jags. And Greg, I feel terrible because I like kind of forced you into a second running back start of the week, and it turned out to be Kyron Williams. And I would not have accidentally typed in Greg's other running back start of the week into the show without having some faith that Kyron Williams would have come through this week. And so I had Kyron Williams ranked in my top 20 running backs. I think he was a running back 16 for me when it was all said and done. But then I learned something, Greg. I learned something in week 13. Kyron
Hmm.
Williams is not a real person because there's no other
Yeah,
explanation for what happened on Sunday.
yeah, man, it's crazy. Cam Akers got 18 touches, so all the opportunity pretty much played about close to 80% snap share. Yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
it was like the guy who had been jettisoned from the team, like 3 months ago, and essentially forced into retirement, was all of a sudden just out there being the lead back after losing out on snaps to Kyron Williams the most recent, like the last 2-3 weeks. It doesn't make any sense.
Crazy,
Only
crazy.
explanation is Kyron Williams isn't real.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Sean McVay went to turn and was like, Kyron, today is your day. And he's like, where'd you go? Also, this was your actual running back start of the week. Travis Etienne did finish
Yeah,
as the RB36. Nick Chubb, that again, weird game that game
weird game,
was,
man. Weird game.
finishing outside the top 24. Derrick Henry also having one of
Hmm.
his single digit days. Um, Antonio Gibson, Kenneth Walker left with the injury that we talked about already.
Yep.
Um, of these guys, Kyron Williams excluded, are you concerned about any of these performances?
The only one I'm most concerned about is Cordell Patterson. He's
No,
pretty
I
much
didn't
just,
even include him, but yeah.
yeah, he's fell off the face of the earth kind of after the return of the since returning the injury. I mean, he could return the injury, had a great game, and then after that, it's been pretty modest for him. So it's tough, especially on a team that say they want to run the football. Yeah, that's probably the only one I'm really super worried about. Derrick Henry not worried about. It's probably first real bad game of the year. Travis Etienne, that whole offense really had a down game. It is concerning because it was Detroit. If you're gonna do it against anyone, it's them in Houston, which is also why it was where Cleveland couldn't score. But yeah, it's just him.
Who's even the backup for Jacksonville? I have no idea.
The backup quarterback.
Is it Jake Luton?
I don't know. I don't
Is it
know. It's CJ Beathard.
CJ Beathard? Okay. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was very, very, very weird game that was. Obviously,
Yeah,
Trevor Lawrence getting hurt has a lot to do with all of that, but just all in all, it was just an odd game. Um, Anything you want to add to running backs, Greg?
no, no.
All right, let's move on to these wide receivers. Swags and the number one wide receiver on the week. Good to see you, man. Devontae Adams, the wide receiver, 8 catches, 12 targets, 177 receiving yards, 2 touchdown receptions. Had one of the dopest catches on the sideline that I had seen in a while. The ball just kind of palmed it with one hand. It was it was crazy. 37.7 PPR points, Greg, on the day. What did you make of this performance here by Devontae?
Yeah, the last 5 weeks, he's been on an absolute tear. I mean, he's been really just blowing up defenses, just putting straight up clinics on, the DBs and stuff like that. So, Devontae, doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Clearly, this man is still one of the best in the game.
Yeah, man, he absolute balling, and I think it's coinciding with the Raiders kind of turning their season around. They're 5-7. They have an outside shot at making the playoffs, and yeah, as long as that's on the table, I think you're going to continue to get performances like this from
Yeah,
Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs.
yeah, for sure. They're gonna definitely lean on those two. Should be, yeah, definitely.
All right, the wide receiver 2 on the week. Somebody
Woo!
I said he would be the wide receiver 1 on the week for 2 weeks in a row. He's finished as 3-2. So I think next week is the week he finishes as the wide receiver 1. But obviously, Greg's breakout wide receiver on the season, having a fantastic season. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 11 catches, 12 targets,
Mm,
114 receiving yards, 2 touchdown receptions. adding also 2 rushing yards on 1 rushing attempt, 34.6 PPR points. I don't think there's a receiver that I would rather have in fantasy right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, just consistency. Every healthy game this man's played, he has been there. Like he's done it for you. The floor is so high for him, and the ceiling is there for him. Like, I mean, yeah, Devontae maybe, and that's it. Really, I don't see anyone else that I would want.
I mean, Justin Jefferson is pretty high up there, but
Yeah, like he doesn't fall out. He has no like the floor is
no,
his floor is high.
no,
The only bottom out games he has when he got hurt and concussed. That's it.
yeah. But I would think it would be outside of Amon-Ra. Like it would just, yeah. Devontae Adams,
Yeah,
he's been fantastic, but I
yeah,
would still have J Jeff above him. But Amon-Ra, like you said, the consistency, right? Like that
yeah.
Cooper Cup that we're chasing, like the week to week consistency where you just plug him in there, not gonna have a bad game as long as he finishes the game. It's gonna be fine. Upside's gonna be there. Like he's been fantastic. The target share is
Fantastic,
there.
man.
The red zone opportunities are there, especially since the TJ Hawkinson trade. Like he has been the focal point of that pass offense. Who knows? Jameson Williams, who again, every time we talk about somebody not being active and they're all of a sudden they're made active on that game on that same day, we talk about them. But Jameson Williams was activated for the Detroit Lions. So obviously they spent a first round pick on him. Let's see what happens as he continues to get worked into that offense. But I don't think it's going to happen. Whatever happens is going to happen this year.
No, man, it's been like this is a 20 game stretch now. Like this is a going back to mid of last season, like late in the shit stretch. So this man has been doing it for a year and a half almost.
Yeah, man,
Crazy.
definitely. All right, let's move on to the wide receiver 3 on the week. And this was the easiest. Like if you had to
Yeah,
bet a wide receiver on the week to put up 100 yards and a touchdown, like this was the easiest bet to make because it was AJ Brown and he was playing the Titans, his former team, who traded him away after refusing to pay him boatloads of money. And he took that personal. 8 catches, 10 targets, 119 receiving yards, 2 touchdown receptions, 31.9 PPR points. That one touchdown, though.
oh my gosh, when he's like tussling with them and then just
Yeah.
like
And Jalen Hurts just like
that's
drops
a
it.
perfect ball.
That's
It's a
a
perfect
perfect
ball.
ball. Like,
It's a
right.
perfect ball.
Jalen could not have walked over down the field and dropped that ball in the bucket any better.
That's the
There's
only
no way.
place they were literally holding each other. They were like choking up each other, and he just here's the ball. Like it's
It's like,
crazy.
oh, I guess I'll take
Yeah.
this.
Yep. Yep. I've never seen that was perfect coverage, man. I feel bad for corners, man. It's tough out here, yo. It's really tough out here.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
man.
Yeah, definitely crazy stuff there. Yeah, I mean, but like, there's no way you didn't know. Like the Titans had to know too, right? Like, hey, we're gonna get this man's best this week
Oh yeah.
with
Yeah,
AJ
yeah.
Brown. So,
Yeah.
Greg, anything you want to add on the performance of AJ Brown?
Nah, man. That catch was all you need to talk about this day. That really
The
is
catch or the throw? I don't. What,
yeah. The throw was definitely more impressive. I agree.
right?
Yeah. It was a
Yes,
perfect
it was
throw.
a perfect ball. Like he didn't have to eat it. I don't even know if he had to catch it. Like I don't know if he actually had to catch it.
Because his hands were already there. It was just
It was just like,
yeah.
okay. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
oh man, yeah. If you have not seen that catch and you're listening to this, you just pause it, stop what you're doing, park on the side of the road, and go pull up that catch or that throw, that catch. It was one of the most impressive plays I have ever seen.
yeah.
Let's talk about these the rest of these wide receiver swags. And the wide receiver 4 on the week, Tyreek Hill, 5, Tyler Lockett, 6, DK Metcalf, 7, Terry McLaurin, 8, Christian Watson. I'm gonna give Greg. I'm giving Greg. The wide receiver 8 or the wide receiver 9, Garrett Wilson. That was my wide receiver. The wide receiver 11, Devontae Smith, and 12, Keenan Allen. Greg, your thoughts on the performances by these top 12s?
Yeah, man. The wide receivers been putting up some numbers. This is definitely one of the weeks where they really put up some numbers. I mean, the fact that the wide receiver 12 got what 20 points, like that's really well more than that, actually. So it's crazy. So yeah, great week. Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, Christian Watson, those young boys doing what they got to do. And glad to see both Philly wide receivers putting up a good day.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna say both Seattle wide receivers, but both
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they basically have almost the same stat line as Seattle wide receivers. Tyler Lockett was
yeah,
128 and 1, and DK
crazy.
Metcalf 127 and 1. Tyler Lockett has one more catch, however, but yeah, definitely great day. Garrett Wilson, man, 15 targets,
Love it,
eight receptions,
love it.
162 receiving yards. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, there's no reason he shouldn't get close to double digit targets every week though. Like I'm throwing it 10 plus times every week.
Yeah, man, he was definitely fantastic to watch. He's already proven himself to be one of the best young receivers in the league, and that average of yards per game with quarterbacks that aren't Zach Wilson shot up 20 yards after this game. He now averages 95 receiving yards a game with quarterbacks that are not Zach Wilson.
Sounds like we just did a study right there.
Yeah,
We found the data point.
the data says we want not Zach Wilson.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because with Zach Wilson, he's averaging like 50 receiving yards a game. It's almost
Oh
half.
man. Oh, brutal.
Almost half. Yeah. So, yeah, he's definitely balling right now. I mean, again, Christian Watson, you said stay in the flames, man, and
Yeah, you got to. You have
got
to.
to.
There's no, yeah. Yeah, man. Lean into
By the
that,
way,
man.
I feel bad for Bears fans.
They just are cursed, bro. They can't beat the
I feel
Packers.
really bad for Bears fans. Like that, like I was like, I said it right here. I was like, nah, man, Justin Fields ends that thing today.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I'm seeing they're up 16-3. I'm feeling real good. I'm like, oh yeah. Like I said it, man. I called it. And then I'm looking, I keep looking, and I see, Chicago keeps scoring. I was like, or Green Bay keeps scoring. I was like, yeah, but Chicago's not gonna stop scoring. And all of a sudden, that game ends. Like I said, 16-3. It ended 19-28. So it was yeah, definitely crazy. But yeah, I definitely great performances by those wide receivers. Like you said, it was a great week. Keenan Allen was the wide receiver 12 with 20.8
Yeah,
PPR
that's
points.
wow. Wow.
CD Lamb comes in at 13. Alec Pierce, remember that guy?
He felt me, but now he's back. Crazy. Okay. Oh, shout out to your boy Drake London, though. You're
Oh my god, bro.
Drake London, yo.
Oh my god. That was absurd. Like that was probably the most absurd performance of the week. Six
Oh man.
catches, 95 yards against Pittsburgh with Mariota and Arthur Smith was probably the most frustrating. It was
He
probably
got
the most.
12 targets too. Look at that.
That's probably more goal. That's probably
Yeah,
more than he had the previous 3 weeks combined.
combined. Yeah, I agree. Probably.
like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
You're right. That is the more than he had. It's 6'9". Yeah, he had right around the same amount. So
You
yeah.
know why? You know why? You know why this happened, Greg? Not because you were on the show and you said that it was gonna happen. It happened because I dropped him. That's why this happened. In the League of Extraordinary People, I dropped him. So that's why this happened. So you're welcome, people. All the people out there that listened, Greg that recommended it, you're all welcome. I'll try to get him back
man.
next week, though. I'm going to try to get him back. So we'll see what happens. I got
You
no
could.
fab left because I'm not even going to speak about what happened in the League of Extraordinary People because people are going to think we're crazy with certain quarterback that got dropped. Did you? We're not going to talk about that.
You know, weird stuff always happens.
Weird stuff always happens in that league, but that was
Yeah.
weird. Yeah. Anyway, Michael Gallup also had a good game, but we got to talk about some of these Jags, and I'm gonna throw T. Higgins, man.
I know.
I only say that because I was going against him in the League of Extraordinary People, and I was nervous because I was up by some points, and I was like, please don't let T. Higgins ruin this for me. And yeah, he didn't I think only had 12.5 PPR points, finished in the top 30 receivers. Amari Cooper, your start of the week. I mean, he was enveloped in that Browns offense, if you can call
Yeah,
it that.
man.
George Pickens was somebody that I know people were relying heavily on against Atlanta in what was thought to be a good matchup. Cortland Sutton, I think he left the game with an injury after coming in questionable with an illness. But are we starting Cortland Sutton? Like, do we start Denver Broncos?
Cornerstone was the only one I was willing to start because he's still putting up, low end wide receiver 2 days, wide receiver 3 days. But if he's hurt, then yeah, then no, there's no one. No, I mean
Jerry
Greg
Judy's.
Dolchich, Greg Dolchich maybe.
We'll talk about him. We will talk about him in a little bit.
Yeah,
We'll talk about him. I have some things to say. Brandon Ayuk. I mean, that was that quarterback driven. I didn't see much of that game.
yeah, yeah. I'm not really sure. I mean, I don't know how 49ers score always. They just find a way to win. They just find ways to win the game like all the
Yeah, I think
time.
they had a defensive touchdown in that game.
Yeah,
But I don't know how they scored. Yeah, you're right. Traylon Burks, man, he's a jag for performance, but if you watched that game, because if you just like didn't watch any of the games, you just were like, let me check my score at the end of the day and see what Traylon Burks did, you would come away feeling very disappointed. But if you saw what happened to Traylon Burks catching that ball in the end zone, and
yeah. It was a crazy catch.
as he's catching the football, gets rocked in the helmet, takes a scary helmet to helmet hit, and essentially like fell asleep on the field, but
Yeah,
still was holding on to the football. And so he got called for a touchdown, but immediately you knew he wasn't coming back into that game.
yeah. No, I definitely was gonna. I think have a much better day if he stayed in. So, yeah. He should hopefully be back.
I mean, that was the Titans' only offensive touchdown of the game. They're a much different pass offense when Traylon Burks is on the field. We
Right.
saw this. I mean, we saw this without when they don't have AJ Brown. Like their pass offense last year, their pass offense was basically non-existent. And so, yeah, I think without Traylon Burks, if he's forced to miss some time, it's going to be tough on the Titans offense as a whole. But uh, if he's available or somebody drops him in your league, like I would look to pick him up because he's somebody that could help take. There's all these rookie wide receivers right now that down the stretch. Like if you missed out on the Christian Watsons of the world, you missed out on the Garrett Wilsons. Like go get yourself an opportunity to go get a guy like Traylon Burks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other Jags from the wide receiver position that I may have missed here, Greg?
No, I think we're good.
All right, let's talk about these tight end swags. And the number one tight end on the week, that will be Greg Dulcich. 6 catches, 8 targets, 85 receiving yards, 14.5 PPR points. And this really irks me because I had just given up on Greg Dulcich. Like literally had just given up. I was like, I'm done. I'm going on board the Tyler Conklin train, who we'll talk about that in a minute. But go on. And I dropped Greg Dulcich and look
Oh,
what
there you
happened.
go. There you
14.
go. Two people, yo. It's a trend here. This is crazy.
Greg, this isn't a trend. This is a fact. This is science. This happens every single year in the league with people. If I drop somebody, just pick them up. They're guaranteed to score double digits.
That's crazy, yo. Two people in the same week, yo. Oh, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. But Greg, what do you think of this performance here by Greg Dulcich?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, not an outlier, but like we thought he was gonna do well. He was coming on in the year, and then he fell off. Nice back, typical kind of tight end stuff. But I mean, got 8 targets. That's a good number there. If Cortland Sutton is hurt for a longer time, there's literally no one else to throw the ball to. Jerry Judy is back, but he's still a little banged up. So I mean, maybe,
Yeah, yeah. No, I guess you got it.
maybe,
I guess Greg Dulcich has to be a thing. I mean, he was a thing. I thought he was a thing, and then he wasn't
yeah,
when he wasn't a thing. It was really upsetting.
yeah, it was.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just destined to have a tight end problem, right? And I don't know. In one world, I liked Tyler Conklin a lot this week, I liked him more than this next guy. But Tyler Conklin was already my stream of the week, and I had predetermined that like the week prior. Then I got to tight ends, and I was like, tight ends kind of suck this week in terms of starts of the week. I mean, obviously there's the Travis Kelce's of the world, right? But Mark Andrews, like you're not going to pick those guys to be your tight end starts of the week.
No,
so when I get to looking at the tight ends, I'm like, damn, I should have went with Conklin as my start of the week. So then I end up going with this next guy who I didn't pick up in my league. In the league, people, I did not pick him up. You guys are probably welcome for that because Tyler Conklin then probably would have been in this slot that we're talking about. But talk about Noah Fant, my tight end start of the week, and I'm gonna applause because I want to applause for the people that played him that weren't me.
So you recommended him for the people to play. Yeah.
I recommended him for the people. Fantastic. I'm glad it worked out. 4 catches, 5 targets, 42 receiving yards, and a touchdown reception. 14.2 PPR points on the day. Greg, what were your thoughts by this performance here by Noah Fant that I'm sure you saw coming?
Yeah, man, it was a good performance. He's been somewhat a quality streaming tight end the last 4 weeks. So you love to see it. Hopefully he can continue this kind of down the stretch.
Yeah, definitely.
The top 3 was like a stream of the week. Like I had to been like stream of the year.
It was like throw a bunch of the stream of the week tight ends in a bag. Pull one out, and that's your top 3 tight ends.
Yep.
So the tight end 3 on the week was your stream of the week, Evan Ingram. 5 catches, 7 targets, 30 receiving yards, and a touchdown there on the day. 14 PPR points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on performance here by your tight end stream of the week, Evan Ingram?
Yeah, man, able to get it done. That touchdown really helped his day, but I mean that was part of why we would like to attack Detroit's passing. Hopefully, I think if Trevor Lawrence was in there, it could have been a better day for everyone. But got back in there earlier, but it's still a solid day. Hopefully, he can also continue his streaming prowess.
Yeah, definitely. I think I ranked him as a low tight end as a tight end 2 this week, but he definitely came through and your stream of the week. So I should just listen to the tight end whisper over here, man. That's what I believe. But we gotta shout out the touchdown or not tight end of the week.
Okay.
And it was a pretty easy decision because you had 2 guys that had 1 catch and 1 touchdown. You said what?
Oh, there's a couple guys that did that. Wow.
Yeah, there was 2 guys that did that.
Oh.
But you know how this goes. It goes to the highest ranked tight end.
There you go. Okay.
So we're going Connor Hayward here. Because your touchdown or not tight end of the week, my man had 1 catch, 17 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown, 8.7 PPR points on the day. But nobody started him. There's not a chance. But this is an opportunity to give an interesting fact about Connor Hayward. Did you know that he is brother of Pittsburgh Steelers defensive lineman Cam Hayward?
Oh, yeah, I was about to be like, is he related to Cam Hayward? Like,
that's his older brother.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
That is what's up. So they got 2 Watt brothers and they got 2 Hayward brothers. So definitely cool stuff there.
Give some credit to the other possible tight end our guy, Michael Pruitt.
Oh yeah, Michael Pruitt. He definitely could have got in here. He was definitely in consideration, but he did win it last week. So, you don't really want to be the touchdown or not tight end of the week. I mean, it's cool, but like catching one catch for a touchdown is like, like Greg, you could do that.
True. Now he definitely has more than Kyle Pitts now for sure though.
Only thing worse for Kyle Pitts than you trying to make him the touchdown or not tight end of the week is calling out that a touchdown, almost two-time touchdown tight end or now of the week has more touchdowns than him.
Yeah.
Hey man, maybe you
Next
could
year,
buy
yo.
Kyle Pitts in Dynasty.
Yeah. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the tight end Jags. And it really, sorry, we got to round out the top 12 tight ends. Cole Kmet comes in at 4. Greg, would you believe this next guy?
Crazy, man.
Gerald
Crazy.
Everett, after
Oh,
we left him for dead, comes in at the tight end 5.
oh.
Chigoziem Okonkwo, comes in at the tight end 6. Pat Fryermuth 7. Mark Andrews 8. The aforementioned Connor Hayward 9. Brevin Jordan 10. Michael Pruitt 11.
Wow.
And this could lead us right into our tight end Jags, the tight end 12. Travis Kelce. 7.6 PPR points on the day.
We all get one, man. We all get one.
Does Travis Kelce get one? Is he allowed one? I don't know.
I think so. I mean, this is his first week in single digits the entire year.
Like, is this his worst game ever? Like
Ever?
in the last 3 years?
In the could be. I mean, could be.
Now
I
I
don't
have
know
to
what his
check.
last year stats now, but definitely this year is his worst game. So
I have to check. Like, I don't remember Travis Kelce having a game this bad.
456.
He went 3 for 49. Oh, that was his rookie year. Never mind. See, I had to go back to his rookie year. I'm just playing.
Wow. No, I was about to say.
Yeah, he had a 5 for 51 in week 2 of this year. I think that was his.
He scored though, or
Did
did he?
no,
Oh no,
he
oh
didn't.
he's got. Oh, but yeah, that's 10. That's like he still got over 10 points.
Yeah,
Yeah,
still got over 10 points.
yeah.
He had a 7 for 25, but that's when he scored 4 touchdowns.
All right, yeah, no.
So I don't know. He had a 4 for 57 last week, but he scored.
Yeah, that. I think it had to be like last year.
No, a 34 and 1, 25 and 1. Oh, he had 2 stretches. Okay, last year he had 2 straight 3 catch for 27-yard games.
All right, word.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, also at the tight end Jags, my tight end stream of the week, Tyler Conklin, who played a horrible game, by the way. TJ Hawkinson, his counterpart, who it was really weird. Like, I don't know. It's like, how is Minnesota generating offense? Like, they ran the ball pretty well. Justin Jefferson had 45 receiving yards on the day. TJ Hawkinson didn't have a great day. So it was just odd in general. I know there were some penalties and things like that, but yeah, just Jalen Reagor had a ridiculously long catch, which was like, what the hell? Jalen Reagor. Anyway, enough about that. Dalton Schultz also ends up as a Jag. And then Austin Hooper, if you went there, because I know he's somebody that's been solid these last few weeks and is somebody that I talked about. He definitely didn't come through this week. Anybody else disappoint at the tight end position this week, Greg, in your opinion?
No, I think you named them all, actually.
All right. Well, let's jump through the injuries before we hit waivers. So like I mentioned, Lamar Jackson left Sunday's game. Injury is not thought to be season ending, but when John Harbaugh is out there talking about could be days to weeks, that's a new one, right? We've heard day to day, we've heard week to week, but this is days to weeks. Never heard something like that. So that makes me think like he's not playing for the foreseeable future, maybe not until playoffs, if the Ravens make the playoffs.
Well, yeah, I mean, they got this one. That was they really needed that one. I don't know how they got it, but I think they can sneak in.
No, yeah, definitely. But just in
Yeah,
terms of Lamar Jackson, his
yeah,
health,
true.
his availability through the season, like,
Yeah,
because Lamar has to, there's like two things at play, right? Like, and I'm sure like Lamar, ultimate team player, and he doesn't have an agent, unfortunately, to talk to him, but he's in a contract year, right? Like, you don't want to come back too early to try to lead this team to a championship, and meanwhile, you don't have a contract right now,
yeah,
and it'd be tough, if you were to get injured and or aggravate that injury and then have to miss further time, especially the type of quarterback that he is, like that would greatly impact like his ability to be productive on the football field. So um I just hope that everybody involved plays it smart there, but we'll see. Baltimore linebacker Patrick Queen, he was carted off on Sunday with a knee injury. Cincinnati tight end Hayden Hurst, he left Sunday's game with a calf injury. Miami wide receiver Jalen Waddle, he was in and out of the game after suffering an injury to his leg. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa for Miami, he left Sunday's game with an ankle, but that's thought to not be serious. He could have returned to that game, but the score was not one which the Miami Dolphins felt necessary to put him back in there. And then for San Fran, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's out for this season with a broken foot that required surgery. That's just a tough break for the 49ers to not just lose Trey Lance at the start of the year, but then to lose Jimmy G the day that a report drops that the Niners and Jimmy G, both sides were open to reuniting next year. Uh, it was just terrible, terrible way to end the Sunday after, especially with that dropping that article, you know. Um, then Ken Walker, who we talked about previously, he left Sunday's game with an ankle injury, and there goes Pete Carroll talking about, no, he just got jammed up. We'll see how it goes. He's day to day, or I forget exactly what he used, but I just assume Kenneth Walker is going to miss, you know, at least the next couple weeks here, or at least this next week. And then we'll see what happens with DJ Dallas because, like I said, he left Sunday's game with an ankle injury. He did return as in an emergency situation, but between adrenaline and all that other stuff, and once the swelling starts to take place, it might be a little bit harder for DJ Dallas to play football. So, Tony Jones, maybe. Greg, what do we got at the quarterback position? I know that's probably the place to start there. Obviously, with these injuries to these quarterbacks that we got. So, who are you recommending to the people, and
yeah,
why
man.
is it Mike White?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why is Mike White because of his first guy, Jared Goff, playing Minnesota. He's at 50%, so I'm still recommending to the people. He's got a great matchup this week going against Minnesota, coming off a couple of strong weeks. The Detroit team, this team is coming together. Honestly, this offense coming together. They're getting it done down the stretch, getting some wins, so that's good to see. And he threw, has the matchup against Minnesota, who Mike White just threw for 360 yards against. So Mike White going against Buffalo this week, 18% rostered. I think this is the revenge game for Mike White. Coming back from last year, this is his time to get it done and show we could attack Buffalo's defense. I think this is a huge game for both teams. So yeah, this is going to be where he's I think he's going to have to put up more pass attempts, more yards, especially if they're going to be playing from behind. So, and if you look at his, remember talking about Brees Hall's or Michael Carter's, schedule coming down in the playoffs. That helps for Mike White as well. After this week, it's Detroit, then Jacksonville, then Seattle. So Mike White's got a beautiful schedule after this week. After Buffalo, and Buffalo's not even a tough matchup in our eyes. So that's good. Tyler Huntley got Pittsburgh next week, 1% rostered. Even though the secondary for Pittsburgh is very weak, it doesn't even matter who Tyler Huntley's playing. He's going to get it done with his legs. He's going to get it done, get you that floor. And then after that, he's got a solid schedule as well with Cleveland, Atlanta, and then Pittsburgh again. So Tyler Huntley down the stretch, especially those Lamar Jackson managers, if you need a quarterback, to just a quick pivot to him. And then lastly, Brock Purdy, I think is a good, super flex conversation quarterback, especially if you're a Jimmy Garoppolo manager, 1% rostered. He should hopefully give a safe floor down the stretch.
Yeah, definitely. Jared Goff, that's a fantastic one for sure. The matchup is great. Like you said, Minnesota, they allowed 369 to Mike White last week. They allowed 382 to Mac Jones the week before. And you've got, Jared Goff coming off a 340-yard day here. So yeah, definitely in the cards for him. And then, like you said, the schedule for Mike White, fantastic down the stretch. Also, if you play Week 18, gets Miami in Week 18, and yeah, so it's got a beautiful schedule
Yeah,
there. And then, Tyler Huntley, like I totally agree. Even in one quarterback leagues, where I have Lamar Lee or extraordinary people, when it dropped earlier in the week, that Lamar was dealing with that hip injury, I immediately went and picked up Tyler Huntley because I think he's that valuable in even one quarterback leagues because of what he brings with his legs. So, would you go after Huntley ahead of these other guys?
I think I'd probably go Jared Goff. And considering Mike White's schedule, I think those two guys I still would try to get before. But yeah, the safest floor definitely Huntley. Like he won't if they have a bad game, like passing wise, Huntley could still give you a solid day.
The other thing with Huntley too is like, who are they playing? Because if they played a team like Denver, right, like um
Well, they have Pittsburgh, then Cleveland, then Atlanta, and then Pittsburgh again. So
yes,
those are
that's
pretty.
like there's not those are all games that are gonna have like 38.5 point unders,
Yeah,
39 and
yeah,
a half,
yep,
like all of
yep,
them where you're gonna pick the under.
yep, yep,
So
yep.
so I guess it's hard to get excited about Tyler Huntley having that big
Yeah,
explosive
big day.
pass,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like the running should be there and that should be consistent, but that ceiling that we hope for, might not be there. But who knows? Maybe you pick up both of these guys, right? And things can change between now and the end of the season, right? So it's crazy to think that we're entering week 14, but yeah. Let's talk about running back, Greg, because there's some stuff, that's always obviously the position we're always trying to pick up and fine tune and acquire depth at this time of year if we don't already have it. So what are we looking at the running back position?
Definitely looking at Zonovan Bam Knight. He's 47% rostered. Definitely had a great game this week. Got those a lot of opportunities, like you were mentioning, and I think he will continue to see that when Michael Carter is healthy. So I think he's a good add to give you some RB2 days, especially in a good offense coming together right now. James Cook, 24% rostered. I think the upside is really there for him, especially on a team that is going to be in a lot of scoring opportunities and he's a guy that's going to be a very good pass catcher for this team, especially if they're starting to shift from Devin Singletary to James Cook. He has a lot of upside. Jared McKinnon, 41% rostered, continue to be used in a sort of fashion with Pacheco. Kind of a different role than Pacheco, which is good, so that he has his own standalone value to give you some RB3 production. Uh, this one is crazy. When Cam Akers, I don't know what to make of him. He's 46% rostered, but if he's getting the opportunity and the snap percentage like this, you gotta make an argument to play him. It's just you don't really know what's gonna happen, what Shotgun Bay is gonna decide to do, or what the playing time is gonna be. So that's a risky one, I think. And then those, we get into week 14, saying those, the Samaji P Ryans of the world, kind of Alexander Madison, he's 35% rostered, and Kenneth Gainwell, 14% rostered. I think if you're, needed some roster spots, you need some space, or just the Dalvin Cook manager, Miles Sanders manager, go get them.
Yeah, most definitely. Um, yeah, this is an important time, and it's literally the playoff push right here.
Yeah,
If you
last
haven't
regular season
clinched,
week.
this is the last week to get in. Maybe you're playing for a bye week. Just things to consider. If sometimes playoffs start earlier, so if you have
True.
you're in the playoffs this week. One thing I always say: if you have a bye week, do not set your lineup. It will give you flexibility. I know you want to check the score. I'll reiterate this later, next week as well. But just don't set a lineup if you have a bye week because, a couple years ago, Calvin Ridley went down. I had a friend of mine pivoted, was able to pick up Michael Gallup, who became highly sought after waiver addition the week after having a big game, and he was able to acquire him for nothing, because he didn't play until the 4 o'clock window. So he just dropped Calvin Ridley and picked up Michael Gallup. So, definitely want to maintain that flexibility, but hopefully we don't have to do that this week. But if we did, Greg would be able to provide us with some wide receivers that we could pivot to. So, Greg, what wide receivers are we looking to this week that might be out there on waivers?
I'm looking at Corey Davis. He's 13% rostered. We talked about how everyone is getting a kind of a bump with in a Mike White led offense. That includes Corey Davis. That includes the receivers. Garrett Wilson's definitely going to be that guy, but Corey Davis also got 10 targets, 5 for 85, so he was definitely involved as well. I think he's continued to give you some wide receiver 3 weeks for upside of flex. Nico Collins, we talk about him. His target share is going to continue to be very high. I mean, the quality of touches might not be at what you expect from Kyle Allen, but he's getting 10 targets. Now he's got 4 straight games. The last 4 games, 10, 7, 9, and 10. That's his target number. So in deep leagues, I think he's a play. And then also again, Mac Hollins, 31% rostered. I think a person that is again also going to be involved with hot Raiders right now. As far as that offense, it's going to be passing the ball a lot. Another guy is going to be getting high target share down the stretch.
Yeah, I like all those. The Nico Collins one obviously is one that is near and dear to my heart because it's one I've been talking about for a few weeks now. But yeah, I think Corey Davis has upside and did you mention Michael Gallup?
I didn't, but he's like 54, I think 54% rostered. But yeah, he'd be number 1, I think, on the list for sure.
Yeah. He's that offense looked good yesterday. I mean, and granted, they were playing against not so great competition in Indianapolis, and Indianapolis defense has been solid, but they were missing Kenny Moore yesterday, which we talked about being a detriment to their defense. But
we've seen Gallup do this, be a good talented guy before. He's probably the most talented guy right now.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they'll feature him so that it's like leverage against Odell. Right? It'll be like, hey, we don't need you, bro. Like we got a number 2 receiver right here.
Facts.
But Greg, what about at tight end, man? What are we looking at? I know it's usually slim pickings, but what do we got this week?
Yeah, it is, but I think it was kind of like the top 3. Those top 3 are all still under 50%. Greg Dulcich, 37%, Noah Fant at 13, and Evan Ingram at 43. It's literally the top 3 this week. That's why I was saying the streaming category. They're all 3 kind of all year been up and down. But I think down the stretch again can give you some streaming opportunity. Greg Dulcich, especially some more targets if Cortland Sutton is hurt. Noah Fant is just riding with the success of Geno Smith, but he's been coming on later because we've definitely been talking about him in the last 4 weeks. And then Evan Ingram, I think I'll be most excited to go get Evan Ingram out of those 3 guys. And then lastly for deep leagues, Danny Bellinger, he's getting healthier, 2% rostered. He was involved right away for this team, and yeah, I think he continued to kind of get some high usages. Darius Slayton is really the only guy they go to.
Yeah, no, those are again, it's slim pickings out there at tight end, but those are all solid options there. I think that's all. That's all we got for this one. So hopefully y'all are out there enjoying Monday Night Football. Hopefully you enjoyed. Get the Monday night sweats. But without that being said, y'all, catch you on Wednesday when we break down Thursday Night Football. I don't even remember who's playing. Is it like somebody like the Rams? It's the Rams and the Raiders, I think.
Tonight?
No, Thursday night.
Thursday. Oh, no, I have no idea.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it's the Rams and the Raiders. One team whose season is done, and another team, it is the Rams and the Raiders, and another team who is trying to make a season out of their season right now. So we'll see what happens. We're going to break that down on Thursday, give you our streams of the week, and make a better too. So we'll catch y'all on Wednesday, and have a good one. We're out of here. Peace.
Yeah.